What if you were to listen to an internationally acclaimed, multi-award-winning illusionist, and he had something far more to say than, "Watch this trick"? Rick Thomas is that performer, ready to go far beyond his magic and far beyond your imagination as he shares secrets regarding our dreams. Dreams that can become reality. The future belongs to those who believe in the strength of their dreams. Dreams pass into the reality of action. From the action stems the dream again. And this interdependence produces the highest form of living. Join Rick and his co-host, award-winning broadcaster Tammy Trujillo, for Nothing Happens Until You Dream. Indulge your mind and take a journey never to be forgotten. A journey connecting all of our dreams as we chase them together.
Rick, there is a saying that impersonating or copying is the greatest form of flattery. We're going to talk about that today because we're on chapter 35 of the book. This title is like in your face here. Stop copying and start creating.
Yeah,
you're not mincing any words here.
I'm going to get a few haters with this one. So just take it for what it is from my point of view. And I'll do my very best to try to tell you why, and at the same time tell you that I understand that copying is okay to a degree.
Mm-hmm. Well, you can't reinvent the wheel every single time. We've all, through history, and I'm not talking about entertainment, I'm talking about everything. We've always taken from people previously and who have done something, and we've taken it and we've reshaped it and repurposed it and recreated it. So many things are built on other things. So there's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to start at, square one every time you want to do anything. That would be ridiculous.
No. That's with the car industry. That is with cell phones. That is with refrigerators. That is with
you name it.
Everything you can imagine in life that you enjoy in some way or form. You've got companies out there who are extremely proficient at copying technology, what's out there.
But, with a patent, if you want to get a new patent, let's say that I decided I'm going to make a new cell phone. Okay. Not that I could, but I'm going to. And I do. Now I'm going to apply for a patent, and they're only going to give me that patent if I can show that my new cell phone is seriously different. Maybe not better, but different than all the other cell phones that have patents. Otherwise, I'm not getting the patent. So I really do have to create something new on my cell phone. Otherwise, I'm not going to get there. But entertainment's not patented.
No.
And
in my industry, where I am currently, Branson, Missouri, Branson started with a lot of superstars. You had Andy Williams, and you had the Oak Ridge Boys, and I wish I had the list of everybody who is here in Branson, because they had the best of great country singers in Branson, literally not only performing here, but living here. It just goes on and on and on. And all these amazing superstars that presented their show in Branson.
I remember the commercials when Branson came on the scene, because nobody had ever heard of Branson, Missouri. What is Branson, Missouri? And I remember the commercials, and I remember just thinking, wow, look who's there. Yeah, it was a big deal. It was like, it was like a Vegas in the Midwest with that kind of caliber.
Yes. Now, my show is still extremely strong, and it is worthy of an audience, and I'm thrilled at what I bring to the table. It's extremely unique. It's Mansion of Dreams, and I wanted to make, even in my 20s and my early 30s, when I was, if you want to say, copying or trying to be like other entertainers, I was trying to find myself. Of course. And it's important that we all do, but there also comes a time that once we've gotten to that point where we've learned by others' accomplishments, that you start being creative on your own and step away from duplication, and that is creation. And what's going on out here now, in my opinion, is a tremendous amount of people who just take other people's materials and they just put them together and then call it a new show. And
yes.
now there's no problem. I've seen a lot of superstars sing other people's material.
Oh, of course.
I've seen them sing
Yes.
somebody else's song
Uh-huh.
just because they wanted to tell them how much they appreciate
Right.
the talent that person is and
To honor
what they've
them.
done to it. And absolutely. And be unique and come up with something possibly new on that particular piece.
Yes.
But when
Love
you
that.
literally just pick and choose the hits and then call it your own or a new show, people, they love the music. They love the hits. They love to hear it. And if somebody does it and if they do it well, then it is entertaining.
Right.
And there is, I guess you can say there's a place for it, but not when everybody's show is that format. And I just would love to see more stars and or those that are creative by coming up with their own material more so than duplication.
One thing that's always interested me, infuriated me, I'm not sure exactly what word I want to grab for that. And I'm thinking of one particular person whom I know very well. He's an amazing singer. My God, Rick, he can do anything. And I've heard him do everything under the sun. But about 10 years ago, he decided, and I'm not going to drop any names here, he decided that his success, his future would be in impersonating someone else, being that person. In fact, he even legally changed his first name to that person's first name. Okay, this gets so weird, right?
Yeah, it's weird.
Right? And he is out there, and the person he's impersonating, the leader of the group that he's impersonating, and he has a band behind him, is still here on Earth and still performing his tail end off. Okay, so you can still see the real guy if you want to. But for the last 10 years, this person I know has made a career, made a life of impersonating this other individual, the superstar. And I said, we kind of had a falling out about 6-7 years ago. I said, this is stupid because you got all the talent in the universe as you, and you now no longer exist because you're putting yourself all into this being that, I'm sorry, that job's already taken. There's a real one over here. And I can't imagine with his amount of talent. He said, well, I wasn't making it on my own. I said, so you're going to make it on somebody else?
Yeah, well.
I still don't believe it. And I still think, what a waste, because we never get to see his talent anymore at all. It's gone. It's buried. I don't get it.
When I first came to Las Vegas, literally when I was just 20 years old, I went to a gentleman named Johnny Stewart. And Johnny Stewart was the creator and producer of Legends in Concert.
Oh, yes.
And I came to him as a friend. I had known of him. I went up to his office and he's kind of like, he's the old fashioned agents and managers. Come over here, kid. Let me tell you how the world, it's just like, let me tell you how the world is, kid. And I sat down at his desk and I told him that I was going to be this great illusionist. And he said, well, in the process, he says, here's a ticket to my show, Legends in Concert. Go watch the show and have a good night and don't bother me again. We actually became great friends in the future and had put on numerous shows together beyond that. But my first experience was Legends in Concert. And you can say it's an entertaining show and there's a lot of work that goes into it. I'm not saying anything about how hard it is to still put on a show, but the success of that show was based on other people's notoriety and success.
I knew a girl in that show. She played Marilyn. She was actually married to Paul Revere and the Raiders.
Paul Revere and the Raiders. Yes, of course.
Sydney Revere.
Yes.
She was an incredible Marilyn. I mean, if you didn't know, you wouldn't know. But again, it was like, but where are you? Where are you? I'm kind of mixed on it too. I have mixed emotions. It's a talent to be able to be somebody else to the point that you are believable. It's acting. I mean, really, it's acting. Yes. But how far does it go? And I always worry about it. To do it, you must have incredible talent. So why is your talent being buried? Yeah.
It's a tough business.
It totally is.
And all I can say is there comes a time in your life when hopefully you finally say, enough is enough. I'm going to start trying to be creative. Even if you add one or two of your own songs, something that you're trying new, that you have written, and step out of character for just a moment and be yourself. I can tell you in the industry, there are people that live more as an Elvis than they themselves and any other particular person that I've seen when they're an Elvis impersonator, especially in Las Vegas. You got dozens of them, and they all live as Elvis. They go to Walmart as Elvis.
Wait. All the time?
Yeah, all the time. They drive around in their pink Cadillacs. They're absolutely. And so they live the role. And so I say to myself, how difficult must it be living somebody else's life your whole life? And I know it's, and I don't know privately what goes on in their lives when we don't see them in public, but when they're in public, they strut their stuff.
Oh, that must be so weird. You're in Walmart and here comes a guy dressed as Elvis with the hair, the shades, the costume.
And they get the pictures and they get people, putting their arms around them and doing photos. And so it's all there. So as far as judgment, please no one slap me around on this one. Well, it's just all I want you to do individually is just be a slightly more creative and step out of your comfort zone and do something that you've created as well. And I can guarantee you'll be extremely proud of it. It's not easy. When I have created illusions and new effects, I'm frightened. I'm scared to death when I go out on that stage and go, man, I hope this works.
Sure. Well, of course. Now, before my friends who listen to our podcast jump my case, let me come clean. Okay. Elvis walked me down the aisle at my wedding in Vegas.
Oh, no
but it
way.
wasn't really Elvis.
Oh, okay.
I did. Randy and I did. We had an Elvis wedding. We'd both had the big Hazagazo, spent too much money. All you've got to show are a bunch of pictures, weddings before.
Yeah.
And we decided, we're a little older. Let's just do something crazy. And we did. And Elvis walked me down the aisle. I'm just coming clean because I know my friends are going to go, Tammy, excuse me. Right. So, and it was fun. And he was quite Elvis-like until I saw him after the show and he was smoking a cigarette out back and not looking very Elvis-y at all. So he wasn't one of your Walmart guys, but it was fun. It was fun and it was kept in that light where nobody was taking it super serious. So in that, it was just kind of a kick.
It's a big industry. You've got Elvis conventions. You've just, I'm saying, it's really tough to see. Literally, that is the way of the future in so many of these shows, even here in Branson. So what I'm trying to say is instead of imitating, take what's great from someone and emulate.
Yeah.
Emulate. Inspire. Take what's great from one person, emulate it. Then find somebody else that you like, their unique style, emulate. In fact, I know that even Elvis Presley, when he was trying to be Elvis, you can even see when he was younger and he was becoming himself. His roots were in the blues.
Oh, totally.
Right? And it took him just slightly a while to make his style his own. When he first sang, he still was strong. He was Elvis. He had this natural talent.
Correct. Yep.
But it didn't really come out. As the years went on and he found himself, he just started to work it. And
he loosened up.
Yeah, loosened up.
Started taking chances. But, looking at, let's just talk about your career in terms of magic, okay?
Yeah.
You start doing magic at a young age and you've got your magic book, and you're learning illusions, tricks, sleight of hand, coins, what have you, that are from the book. And these are tried and true illusions that probably every magician has ever cut their teeth on.
That's right. And I copy everybody.
Right. Well, yeah, at the start, what are you going to do? You don't have knowledge. You don't have anything. So you have to copy. And then you get that first illusion that you paid off. Took you forever. $1,200 illusion.
Yeah, correct.
Okay. Now that's an illusion quote in a box, if I can put it that way.
It is. Somebody built it. Someone created it. It's out there.
Yeah, it's out there.
Get your hands on it.
Lots of people can do that. Okay.
Yes.
So you're perfecting the skills needed to pull these not original illusions and tricks off. Okay. Now that's something to be said right there. Just to master them, even though you didn't create them, is something unto itself. How much courage does it take, though, to say, okay, I know how to do all this stuff. I've got the skill. Now I'm going to do my thing and show people something they've never seen before. What does that take to make that leap? Because it's, and take this the right way. You were operating a safe zone, doing ones that you knew would work and that people liked already.
Right.
What does it take?
It takes more than just one person.
Okay.
it takes, well, even with Elvis, whether people loved him or hated him, and most people did, the Colonel was a big deal in Elvis's success.
Yeah.
Okay. So it took Elvis as a talent and somebody else to be there as well. And that's the same with my industry. I am not the only creative force behind what I present. And there are builders and creators out there that do come to you and say, what do you think? Let's work on this. And there's often times where we work on an effect together for months and months and even a year or so before we either say this is never going to work or let's put this to stage.
Years.
Yes, years.
Okay. Let's take people behind the scenes a little bit. There's all kinds of movies and stuff on behind the scenes. How do they make movies? How do they make TV shows? There's not a lot because you guys are so secretive, and I understand that, about how magicians do what they do, not revealing the secrets, but just what goes on behind, which I think would be a great documentary, hint, of all of this. You'll have a stage show. You have a very successful stage show. You had a successful stage show in Vegas. So it's not a thing, Rick, where you go to the theater, you do the show at night, you go home, you hang out, you go back to the theater, do the show at night. You're working on new illusions during the day. You're rehearsing new stuff.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
With the idea of maybe including this down the road?
Even now, there's a couple effects that are just stuck in my head that I definitely want to see added to what I present. I have been professional for...
I know it's hard
years.
To say these numbers. Let's say more than 30.
More than 45 years.
Okay, I was going to be a little kinder. More than 30. So
okay,
yeah.
And I am in a position where there are effects that the world of magic knows that's Rick Thomas.
Right.
Those are my
trademark
pieces that's what made Rick Thomas who he is. And that is kind of how I see myself with regards to rock bands who have in the past been the biggest entertainers in the entire industry. And today they go out and sing their hits.
Yeah, right. Nothing
They don't
new.
sing new material.
Right.
Very few of them make new albums.
Right.
They just now go out there and rest on their laurels and sing the hits that made them great. Do we love it? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
We all embrace it. We aren't even sometimes looking for something new from those individuals just to get to see what we knew growing up and what made our lives impressionable by listening to the music and or whatever we were in.
That's what music does. Paul Revere said something to me once when I did an interview with him about music. And, he was doing his hits from the 60s and the 70s. And this would have been around the year, late 90s. And I said, what's it like doing the songs that you've done since you were, a very young man? And he said this to me, and I had to think it through. He said, Tammy, I'm not in the music business anymore. He said, Tammy, I'm in the memory business. Because he said, you hear those songs and you're transported back to when you were 16 or you were 21 and you know what you were doing. And I thought, that makes beautiful sense. And that's why recreating those songs works so well for a musician, because they are taking us back to a time we can put ourselves back there because music is that powerful. That made sense with the musician. Totally. But yours is different.
Well, more often than not, when people have seen an illusionist and they've seen your show, they ask you, well, come up with something next time around.
Really?
They want to see, they're always wanting to see something new. I see it different than the music industry and the music world.
Yeah.
People want to hear nostalgia. They want to hear their past. With my show, I've literally had people say, okay, so what are you doing new in your show this year that we haven't already seen?
That's heavy.
So, well, we're always the ones who have to be creative and come up with something new. Now, the problem with the world of magic is it is, now I'm not going to say the word simple. It's not simple to come up with a hit song.
No.
A lot of work, but more so time, effort, blood, sweat, and tears. With magic, it's blood, sweat, and tears and a lot of money. And you've got to spend a tremendous amount of money on testing and or trying and or building and tearing apart and putting back together again and realizing that, like you said, it may not be a hit once you get it to stage and you present it. It might not be as grand as you think it is. So
Wow.
It's a bit scary. It's hard for an illusionist. When we change our show, it could be $250,000. Oh,
gosh.
next year, Rick, you going to change your show? Well, that'll be about $500,000 to change the entire show. And when
Wow.
someone changes a song
Uh-huh.
in their show, it's not going to cost them quite that amount of money
Not
to
close.
do so.
Not close.
So there's a bit of a difference there, and I'm not giving a massive excuse. It's just in my particular art form, there's a lot that goes into it beyond pencil to paper.
Uh-huh. Well, you're just being realistic. So, all right. Again, the secretiveness of magicians. You do not reveal how your illusions are done. And that's
but the internet does.
Do they really?
Yes.
Really?
It's changed. When I was a grand illusionist in the 80s, 90s, and the 2000s, you didn't have internet as it is today.
Sure.
Often people can go and find an answer to anything that they so desire if they want to search for it. And somebody out there has spilled the beans.
Oh, my goodness.
I think that I grew up in a much more pure state of magic than it is today. People still love it. I mean, I did a show last night, and again, as people walk out, it's just fascinating and wonderful to me to hear them say, "That's the most amazing thing I've ever seen."
No kidding. Wow.
So that to me, that's a lot of fun, and it's still something wonderful for me to experience as well.
Well, when you work with, let's say you're creating a new illusion or attempting to create a new illusion, not sure if it'll work yet. Is everybody sworn to secrecy who's working on the project?
Well, they're supposed to be. In magic, when let's talk about the patent industry again.
Yeah, right.
When you create a patent, you must tell the world exactly how you do it.
It's true, in the designs. Yeah.
So, right. So magicians, we don't do patents.
No, for an obvious reason, yeah.
For the obvious reason that everybody would know exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, you want to copy me, you figure it out.
Yeah, you figure it out. And they're out there. Someone will see something. And the world of there's only 7 different ways that magic can be presented. 7 different types of effects: vanish, appearance, transposition, a metamorphosis. So when you understand these different concepts, there's only so many other ways to actually do it as well. And once you understand those concepts and you watch somebody else perform, you can go, okay, well, he didn't do that. He didn't do that. This is how he must have done it. And then that decision is made, and then you go out there and try and copy.
Okay, that's interesting because, as you were going through those, I was thinking, okay, I know what that would be. Huh. How did you learn all this, Rick? I mean, really? Starting from zero, how did you learn to be able to do all of this? It's a huge amount of learning.
Slowly and surely. I'm going to give you a comment given to me by, if not the greatest magic creator in the entire industry. He simply is and has been for years. Jim Steinmeier.
Okay.
He worked with Imagineering with Disney. He was a creative force and still is behind the greatest spectacle magical effects that you see in amusement parks, magicians, whatever it may be. And he said to me, Rick, create 1 illusion a year, master it, and in 10 years, you will have a show. Oh. And he says most people make a mistake by creating a show, grabbing everything they can and sticking it in that show and becoming a master of none. Because there's just too much to encompass and too much to master. And he said, if you seriously took you already have, a few effects that are yours, that are signature pieces, do those every show and add a new illusion, 1 new illusion a year. And within 10 years, you're going to be somebody. And that's pretty much what I took to heart. I also couldn't afford it any other way.
At the prices you've been talking about,
at the prices we've been paying, right. And so you get the chance to really encompass and work on something and work it into the act. And the next thing you know, you do have something to look back on. And he may never even remember he said those things to me. But I share those with you as well. Don't try to master the world in 1 night, 1 week, or even 1 year. Build line upon line. Work on your strengths and add something carefully to your show or your life, whatever it may be, and work on that and get it right before you just jump from that into something else and only become just mediocre.
Mansion of Dreams, like we've talked about, I saw it first on an iPad. That's where I first was introduced to this Mansion of Dreams illusion that you had been working on in your head for the longest time. And gosh, I don't even think it existed even an iota of reality when you showed it to me on that iPad. I think that's all it was on that iPad. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like your ultimate illusion from what I know, but you're not done. It's not like, okay, I've created my lifelong grand illusion here. You're still kicking around some new ones?
Yes. Oh well, goodness. I designed Mansion of Dreams for that specific reason. Mansion of Dreams is I, as a entertainer, invite the audience, my friends, to my home, my mansion.
Right.
And I share with them where my dreams become a reality. And that's taking them from room to room throughout the mansion and demonstrating to them my life and the amazing creations that I've come up with. And by doing so, and going from room to room, that allows me to create new effects because if you have an illusion in one room, it doesn't mean that you can't switch it out for something else later and still have the same room and a different storyline. So I created the Mansion of Dreams, which would allow me to still have a theme, a concept, a strength, a following to follow your dreams, and at the same time allow me to switch out effects to do, as others say, change the show.
I didn't realize that. That's brilliant.
Yeah. Well, that was my plan and still is. Now, I will tell you what I find intriguing, and that's the Cirque shows. When Cirque creates a show, they create it and they stick with it.
Cirque du Soleil.
Cirque du Soleil. Okay. Yeah. Like O, for example, in Las Vegas, or Ka, so many others, you list them. They have been the same show for years. Years. They don't change the show out. They don't change the theme of the show. They don't change. I mean, it's the same show. But for some reason in the world of magic, everybody demands that you have to have a new illusion.
That's weird. But that's really strange, isn't it?
Yeah. But you can go mark my words, go out there. There are people who know exactly what I'm saying. You know that there are shows out there that are 10, 15, 20 years old, and they are the same show, and people go in droves. They have no problem. But when you do an illusion, it better be something new.
See, now, I guess I'm weird, but I guess I'm weird in this sense where I saw the show in Vegas multiple times. And I think, I can pick out maybe a couple times where I saw something new, but I didn't care.
Right.
I just wanted to see it again. I wanted to see you do it again. And I guess,
luckily for me, that's often the case.
Yeah.
I want to see me do it again.
And maybe a little bit was, okay, this time I'm going to try to not look where you're trying to make me look. I'm going to try to look over here because I want to see if I can see how you do it. That was my thing. I mean, if there was something new, it's like, oh, that's cool too. But, for me, it was just, I want to see it again because I couldn't believe my eyes the first time. And that's with a number of illusion shows that I've gone to, magicians that I like a lot. I saw their shows many, many, many times, and it was like, I don't care if I'm seeing the same thing. I don't care if I know what the next illusion is or what the next line is in the monologues. I don't care because I'm just digging the experience again. And, well, I'm trying to figure this out.
Well, good. I need more of you out there.
Oh my goodness.
Now yelling out to the youth of today, the teenagers of today, there's a saying that I always love. It says, quick hire a teenager while they still know it all.
Oh.
And boy. I know that's
oh boy.
We all know that as teenagers and those who are in high school and going into college, they do have an opinion.
Oh, yes.
They are out there screaming and yelling and sharing with us their thoughts. And they're growing up, and they do have a thought process that also needs to be heard. And it's just what it is. We all have gone through it. Every generation, when we were of that age, we wanted to stand up and fight for what we believed. But I will say that often those youth believe that their parents or the elderly don't know what they're talking about.
Oh, almost always. Yeah.
Almost always. But what's fascinating is if you ask somebody to draw a picture in your mind, or even on paper, of what a wise person looks like.
Aren't they always?
Old.
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
That's such a contradiction of thought.
Yeah, because they're the wise ones.
Uh-huh. And we know
they've-
it, but we just don't want to admit it when we're kids, I guess.
Yeah, they've lived a life that you haven't yet.
Yeah.
And they've gone through all the troubles and challenges you think they never went through.
Uh-huh.
And for this reason, they are wise.
Mm-hmm.
They've lived their life, and the elderly know much more than you think they do.
Mm-hmm.
And there comes a time in your life when you figure that out.
Yeah.
Because here's the best way to put it. And this is the last line in my chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, there'll come a time where the youth of today turn into the wise people of tomorrow.
It has to happen, right?
It has to.
Yeah.
Of course it is.
Yeah. You can't stop it.
So it's a crazy, wonderful world we live in. There are amazing, talented people out there. I know that all of us in some way or form need to imitate to become something great in our own way or form.
Mm-hmm.
I am just asking that once you do, and once you've learned the ways of what kind of person you are, just try and be you.
Yeah. Let you come through.
Yes. Try and be you.
Make it yours. I totally agree. Well, one thing we can copy is just understanding how things work from somebody who gets it, somebody who actually understands it. And I want to talk, before we end today, about something that we can copy that you're doing.
Yes.
That is dealing with finances right now. It's constantly in the news, the economic state of the United States. And in your conversations with friends, people are always talking about, do you know how much it cost me at the gas station today?
Mm-hmm.
Or, and we just finished taxes. Oh my gosh, property taxes, IRS taxes. We've been beaten up a lot lately financially.
And this year, I've noticed more people have voiced their challenges they're facing with their taxes by saying, literally, before I didn't owe taxes, before one of my taxes were done, I broke even or I got something back.
Yeah.
And more often than not, they're saying, this year I owe.
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? What happened?
Mm-hmm.
What did I not do?
Yeah, you think I did something wrong.
Yeah.
But did you? Probably not.
No, it wasn't your fault. It wasn't your fault. I love a statement where you have people teaching you correct principles and then allowing you to live your life your way, understanding those principles. Mine is diversification right now, and don't just have everything in the bank, but actually buy gold and silver, precious metals. And this is entertaining as well, because there are people that come to my show and know exactly who I am, what my life is beyond my magic, and the information that I share with other people about their finances. And they'll say to me, Rick, they'll say, how's this gold thing going?
I love that.
And
how's it going?
it's just weird for me to say that. And I'm like, well, if you want me to answer you truthfully, you don't want to know. Because I told you 6 months ago. I told you a year ago. I told you 2 years ago. And you're still not listening. So I can share it with you and I can tell it to you, but more often than not, people, they aren't willing to do what is needed to prepare themselves and protect themselves with what's going on. So I am just saying that because those are the comments that I get constantly. So Rick, how's this gold thing going?
That's a weird way of putting it.
This isn't like in a sarcastic manner. I'm like, yeah, you don't want to know. Because if I told them, and I do, I tell them, I said, it's going great. And I appreciate what has been taught to me and what I teach other people. And it's simple. You've got to take a little bit of your hard-earned cash and turn it into real money, because your cash is not real. It is actually something that the government tells you what it is worth. And right now it's not worth very much at all. And turn it into something of worth. And that is just bite the bullet and buy a little silver and a little gold and hold on to it. And I'm a person to share that information with you.
And we're serious. You actually will.
Yes.
So if you want to check it out, here's how you do it. You go to mansionofdreams.net/wealth, mansionofdreams.net/wealth. Take you a couple of seconds to fill out a little form. And Rick, in all your spare time, which I know you don't have hardly any of, you actually do pick up the telephone and call people up.
I do. And if I haven't called you, it's because there's a few other people in line before you.
Yeah. But you'll get
I'm
there.
trying. I try my very best, and I'm not perfect. So I try so hard to just keep up on life itself in general. Well, life gets in the way.
And it does.
And that's with everything. I mean, we all are pursuing our careers.
Mm-hmm.
We all are pursuing things that we think are important in our life.
Mm-hmm.
And then we realize that life gets in the way.
It does. Every single day, it's like unexpected things pop up and that push a few things down the line a little bit. It's frustrating. It's real.
But I also say it sarcastically because sometimes when I say, well, life gets in the way, I'm telling them that's your purpose. Is the life that's getting in the way. That's your greatest joy, and you just don't realize it.
Well, sometimes you have to just take a deep breath, stop, hide in the corner, and think about it for a moment. And like, everybody stay away from me for 5 minutes. I've got to think. Yeah, calm the din down a little bit.
No one get mad at me on this particular chapter because I am honestly, just as everyone else is, constantly in a mode of looking to others, emulating what I think is grand and trying to implement it into my life. So there's always copy going on. I understand that. Success is how well you hide your sources.
Yep.
And get out there and just be you. And I hope that I didn't offend too many people.
Well, you gave everybody a lot to think about. It's okay to take from others, but again, I'm with you. There has to be a line at which you say, okay, I've got the basis. That's what I needed. And now, hang on. Here's me.
Yeah. Well done, Tammy. I so appreciate your comments. They are right on the money.
Well, on this one, we are totally in agreement. So, and we're waiting to see what's next, Rick. Come on.
What? Oh, in the show?
Yeah.
Oh, well, Blizzard's in the show now. That's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
Our little baby Great Pyrenees. He's the hit of the show. I have a newsletter coming out every month. For those that aren't on the newsletter, you should go to rickthomas.com. That's once again rickthomas.com. Go in the bottom right corner and sign up for Staying in Touch. And I send out a newsletter every month, and the next one will be about Little Blizzard.
Gotta see him.
Thanks for joining us this week on Nothing Happens Until You Dream, starring Rick Thomas and featuring Tammy Trujillo, and is based on Rick Thomas's best-selling book, The Tiger Whisker, available on rickthomas.com. We hope you enjoyed this episode. We'd love for you to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. And check us out on Patreon for exclusive members-only content. Stay up to date with Rick and Tammy at nothinghappensUntilYouDream.com. Remember, you must follow your dreams, not only for yourself, but for the rest of our future. We'll see you on the next episode.